The Dallas Mavericks probably had the most talked about offseason in the entire NBA, and I mean, kind of rightfully so, because they did make the finals. They were the runners-up for the championship this year. They made a few pretty significant splashes, at least from name value-wise, and I do think that they made some good moves, but a lot of people are saying this is probably the best offseason that anyone's had this year, and that they got so much better, and that they're going to be ready to contend again, and I'm going to be giving a few reasons, in my opinion, why I think it's just not as great of an offseason as a lot of people say it is. Now, it wasn't a bad one. I'm just kind of indifferent to how it actually went, and I'm going to give a few reasons why, and I'm going to get into every move they made, and I'm going to get into every reason why I think that it was just kind of an off-season overall. So if that does sound interesting to you, please watch the video all the way through, and hit the like button and subscribe button if you do, and without further ado, without rambling on too much, let's get right into this video. So the first thing I really want to get into is just going to be recapping what they did last year, just a very quick one, and what they did, they were the 10th best offense in the entire NBA last year. They were a very, very good offense, but unfortunately their defense let them down, as they were 18th in defense, and they did definitely improve on that end. But when your best two players are Luka and Kyrie, it is going to be kind of hard to have great defense, and PJ Washington is an amazing defender, so they really don't have too many great defenders on the roster, at least they didn't last year, but their offense more than made up for it, as they shocked everybody and was able to make it to the NBA Finals behind how good Luka and Kyrie were last year, especially in the playoffs. And overall, they finished with a 50-32 record and made the NBA Finals. So it's very hard to say they had a bad season in any way. Now, yes, anybody that doesn't win the championship is going to be upset, but I'd still say they had an extremely successful season last year, especially for the expectations that they had going into this season, and I would say they completely passed expectations and really overachieved what a lot of people were expecting them to do. And with them seeing how close they were to winning an NBA Finals last year, I think they decided to kind of try to go all in and at least improve this team enough to maybe make another Finals run and actually win it this time. So before I break down all the moves individually, let's just go by what happened. Like, what additions did they make and what losses did they have? So the additions they had was Spencer Dinwiddie in free agency, Najee Marshall in free agency, Klay Thompson in a trade, Melvin Aginsa in the draft, and Quentin Grimes in a trade. And they only lost Josh Green in a trade and Tim Hardaway Jr. as well in a trade. So overall, they only lost two players, and only one of them really matters, being Josh Green, and they made a few very solid additions as well. So they definitely got better, I would say, as a team, but I'm going to be now saying and breaking down every player into why I don't think it makes that big of a difference of what they were able to do. So the first addition I'm going to get into is going to be Klay Thompson. Now, Klay Thompson, he should add much needed floor spacing to this team. Now, last year, it was a huge problem as both of their centers have no threat of shooting anything but a layup or a dunk. And then even guys like Derrick Jones Jr. last year couldn't really shoot and wasn't that big of a threat, so teams would kind of leave them open. The only player in their starting lineup that they really couldn't leave open outside of Luka and Kyrie was PJ Washington, so it really caused huge spacing problems, and it really bit them in the ass when they played Boston because they took full advantage of that. So although, yes, their center situation is the same and they still won't be able to shoot at all, they now add Klay Thompson, another guy instead of Derrick Jones Jr., that you're going to have to guard. Look, Klay Thompson is old, I understand, but you cannot leave him open, okay? He's still Klay Thompson. He can still shoot the hell out of the ball. Now, the only reason I'm not super high on this addition, because if this was, 4 or 5 years ago, I would have thought this was an amazing addition for the team and that they're now legitimately have a chance of winning the finals, because that's how good Klay Thompson used to be. But unfortunately, Klay Thompson, I think, is now 33, 34 years old, something like that, and he has definitely declined since coming back the last 2 years. He hasn't looked the same, especially defensively, and when defense was such a big problem for them, that isn't a great sign, because yes, Klay Thompson now at least helps fix your spacing problem, but it definitely doesn't fix your defensive problem, and I just don't think overall that is going to help them that much at all. So I do think they definitely have made strides in certain areas, but also didn't make strides in certain areas with this move. And I think on paper, it makes a ton of sense. But like I said, Klay Thompson's aging, so no telling how that's going to affect his offensive game. And overall, I don't think his defensive game is there anymore. So there could definitely be a little bit of a disappointment or letdown from Klay this year, depending on how much the age is going to affect him. And especially getting later into the playoff run, when you have such an older guy, it definitely hurts your chances of staying healthy because you're trying to make it even more games and make even deeper runs tons and play super physical in the playoffs, so that's going to be hard to do. So I do think Klay Thompson on paper makes a ton of sense, but I'm not sure that in reality and in practice it is going to work out as good as a lot of people think it's going to work out. And then really the second biggest move they made was them going after Najee Marshall from the New Orleans Pelicans. And yes, that is an upgrade over Derrick Jones Jr., but it's definitely not a needle-moving move, and that was probably their biggest free agent signing this year. And, I mean, Najee, look, I'm a Pelicans fan. Like, I'm a diehard Pelicans fan. Najee is an amazing teammate to have on your team. He's going to fight for any of his teammates. He's going to be like that aggressor guy. He has a great defense. He can shoot the hell out of the ball even. His shots improved a ton since getting in the league. He's a very solid two-way guy. Like, he is a good role player in the league, and they definitely got a very good rotational piece in Najee, but people are kind of acting like he's going to be this gigantic upgrade over Derrick Jones Jr. Like, I would say Derrick Jones Jr. is probably a better defender than Najee, but a way worse offensive player. So yes, he's definitely an upgrade over Jones, but I wouldn't say he's such an upgrade that it's going to make that big of a difference and that noticeable of a difference. And I think personality-wise, they're even kind of the same, because I think I saw a few times in the playoffs Derrick Jones Jr. was definitely getting hyped up, getting in people's faces and things like that. So they're kind of very similar in mindset, and they're going to be pretty similar in play style as well. And obviously Najee isn't the athlete Derrick Jones Jr. is either. So I do think there's a few setbacks and a few gains in this situation. So overall, although I think it is a slight upgrade, I really don't think it's a needle-moving move, and I don't think it's going to really improve them that much. I would argue I'd rather Najee in the playoff atmosphere, because Najee can shoot and Najee can do a lot more things, and he's a way more polished player, and he's been in the playoff, like, he's very, like, used to it. So I do think, at least from that perspective, I would rather Najee Marshall 100% in a playoff atmosphere than Derrick Jones Jr., just due to what he can do, and Derrick Jones Jr. really can't do that well. So in that perspective, they definitely got better, but overall, I don't think it moves the needle all that much. And then the Spencer Dinwiddie free agency signing, I mean, I would have liked this 3 years ago, but he did not look good at all with the Lakers. Hopefully that was just a situation that the Lakers just weren't using him correctly, because he looked really bad with the Lakers. He didn't look that good with the Nets before them either. So Dinwiddie is very realistically possibly over the hill at this point, and might just serve the Tim Hardaway Jr. role of just being the veteran that doesn't really play that much for them, because Dinwiddie looked horrible with the Lakers last year. There's just no way to slice it. And I think unless he can go back to what he used to be, he's probably just going to be a guy that is there to be a vet to lead the younger guys on this team, because I just can't see a world where Spencer Dinwiddie automatically just randomly becomes himself. There's no way the Lakers were using him that bad. And if they were, Darvin Ham deserves to be shot for war crimes, okay? Because that would be absurd. But I do think Dinwiddie's definitely not at his prime anymore. He's not what he used to be. And this addition really, I mean, is just kind of a nothing burger to me. And then their second round pick that they traded for, Alex Aginsa, I mean, he's just not going to play. He's a guard. He's behind Luka and Kyrie. He's definitely not starting ever. And I think they're not playing him over even guys like Quentin Grimes and other people I'm going to get into later. So I think overall he's just not playing. But I mean, he is an addition, so I just wanted to talk about him a little bit. And then the last addition I'm going to be talking about is going to be Quentin Grimes. Now, Quentin Grimes could be a good rotational guard for them. I think he is solid. He's okay. But I think Josh Green is better than him. Maybe not from a self-creating and offense perspective, but just from a fit perspective, I think Josh Green was a better fit for the Dallas Mavericks. And they lost Josh Green, and they did add Quentin Grimes. Once again, I don't think it's going to be that big of a move. I don't think it's going to make that big of a difference for them. But it should at least give them a solid rotational guard to replace a guy like Josh Green, and maybe he could become a very solid sixth man for them one day. Who knows? He's still young enough to develop, so maybe in a few years, or maybe even at this year, he could become a great player and really make that leap that a lot of people thought he could show when he was playing with the New York Knicks, and then even at Detroit, he played pretty good. So hopefully Quentin Grimes can be a good rotational free guy for them, but I think overall he's probably just going to be a good, solid rotational guy, and once again, not moving the needle all that much. So overall, just from their additions in this offseason, I would say they did get marginally better just from there, but that's not the only way you can improve. You can also improve from self-improvement categories, and from all their young guys that I put together a little bit of a list of guys who could possibly get even better. You have Luka Doncic, who is still young, but I mean, he's already an MVP level player, and he's already one of the best players in the NBA, so I mean, it's hard to see him getting that much better, but he probably does still have room to improve on like the defensive side side of the ball and athletically. So maybe he improves in those standpoints, but I mean, he's already insane, so it's going to be hard to see him getting that much better. And then PJ Washington, I mean, he's been basically the same player for about 3-4 years now, or really since he got in the NBA. So it's going to be kind of hard to imagine PJ Washington just has this huge improvement. Derek Lively was a good addition for them his rookie year, but unfortunately, I think he's a high floor, low ceiling guy. So yes, he will probably get marginally better at some things, but he's kind of a player that, like, what you got when he came into league is what he's going to be. Like, he is very raw in anything shooting. He's very raw from basically everything else. He's never going to become a good perimeter defender because, I mean, that's just not how most 7-footers really just work. So he's probably just going to be what he is for basically his whole career. It was getting slightly better on the offensive side of the ball, like from layups and hook shots and things like that. So, I mean, maybe he gets marginally better, but he's probably going to be basically the same player. Jaden Hardy, he's pretty good, but I mean, probably not going to get anything but marginally better either. He's not that young anymore. He's okay. He shows a lot of potential, but he's just okay. Oliver Maxine Prosper, he is very young, and I think he could become a rotational guy this year. I think he could improve that much to actually start getting like consistent minutes, and I do like his ceiling, but I think he's still a few years away if he's ever going to hit it. So although maybe he does become a contributing player and a rotational guy, I don't think he will make a huge difference and definitely won't become a needle mover probably in year 2, despite me being high on him as well. So overall, did they get that much better through their free agency additions, through their trades, through their self-improvement of their young players? I would say at best they marginally got a little bit better. Like, their progress bar moved up a little bit with a slight upgrade over Derrick Jones Jr. And I think Klay Thompson fits them well. I think that's the main 2 ways they improved, and I think they're going to be a little bit better than they were last year, but I also think they greatly overachieved last year, so that's going to be hard to recreate, and I wouldn't be surprised if they even finish with a worse record or just don't make the finals or even the conference finals next year due to a few different factors. One of them being that I think they completely overachieved with their roster last year, and I don't think they were as good as they did show, kind of like the Atlanta Hawks. Now, obviously not the exact same situation. I think they're a better team than the Hawks were when they made the conference finals, but I don't think the Dallas Mavericks are actually a finals team. I think they're a contender, yeah, but do I think they're going to be a consistent get to the finals team? Probably not, unless Luka is able to just be God the entire playoffs once again, and Kyrie can also be God for an entire playoff series once again. It's going to be very hard to see that, especially with the fact that the entire NBA really got a lot better. Because look at all the improvements throughout the league. The Boston Celtics stayed literally the exact same. They re-signed everybody. The Oklahoma City Thunder, I would say, got significantly better. The Denver Nuggets probably got slightly worse. But then the Minnesota Timberwolves got better. The Pelicans got better. The Kings got better. The Golden State Warriors got better. The Houston Rockets got better. The Memphis Grizzlies got better. And the San Antonio Spurs got better. So that's basically the entire West got significantly better, and even big guy, the OKC getting significantly better is a huge problem because they still went 6 games with them and had games that they easily could have won last year in the playoffs, and now they added Isaiah Hartenstein, filling their biggest hole at backup center, and they also added Alex Caruso, one of the best defensive guards in the league, and we saw the Dallas Mavericks greatly struggle when there was 2 elite defensive guards, and now the OKC Thunder have 3 elite defensive guards to be able to guard Luka and Kyrie. So I think they now match up much better than they did last year, and I just think overall they're going to be a much improved team and give Dallas even more troubles than they gave them last year. And then even with the Boston Celtics staying the same, do I think that they got it better enough to now beat the Boston Celtics in a 7-game series? I would say no. I think Boston staying the same is still better than 99% of the NBA, if not still the best team in the league. And I don't think the Dallas Mavericks got good enough to be able to beat Boston. So I think they probably still lose to them. The Nuggets, although they got slightly worse, they still have Jokic, they still have Michael Porter Jr., they still have Aaron Gordon, they still have Jamal Murray. So they're still going to be a hell of a team to try to get out. And I mean, they went 7 games. Like, they could have, with the Timberwolves, they could have easily been the team in the conference finals. And I think they match up good with the Dallas Mavericks. So I think that could be an issue for them. And the Timberwolves getting better is huge. I mean, the Timberwolves, although they didn't look good against Dallas, they're so young. I think they got that year of experience now. They could be much better. The Pelicans added DeJounte Murray, a great 2-way guard. And if Zion can be healthy, they're going to be a problem. The Sacramento Kings added DeMar DeRozan. They could be a problem, at least a lot better than they were last year. I think the Golden State Warriors did ultimately get better with the moves they made. And I mean, anytime you have to play Steph Curry in the playoffs, that's going to be scary. The Memphis Grizzlies, obviously they're going to get better just from getting Ja Morant back. I mean, they were a great playoff team when he was healthy, so hopefully Ja Morant can stay out of trouble, and the Memphis Grizzlies can be great. The Houston Rockets, I think self-improvement wise, are going to be much better. And then the San Antonio Spurs, I mean, they have Victor Wembanyama, they added Harrison Barnes, they added Chris Paul, they added Stephen Castle, they still have Devin Vassell on the roster. I think they are on pace to get much improved as well. So I just think from the entire league getting way better, from them overachieving last year, I think they're probably going to be set up for a little bit of a disappointment when it comes to playoff time, because I'm not sure they're going to be able to replicate what they were able to do against much improved competition pretty much across the board. And I don't think they improved as much as a lot of these other teams improved. And I just think overall, although I do think Dallas had a solid offseason, I don't think it was this amazing one that everybody is making it out to be. But unfortunately, guys, that's my first video. So comment below, do you agree with me? Do you think that the Dallas Mavericks improved a lot? Do you think they can make it back to the finals? I want your thoughts in the comment section below. And if you like the point, to like button and subscribe button, it would mean the absolute word to me. And I hope you have a blessed day, because I had a blessed day, so you need to have a blessed day. All glory to God. See you in the next video. Goodbye. Boo. Blah.